One of the quick and easy ways to look for oversteer or understeer is to compare lateral G's versus steering position. We can think about it as the more we turn the wheel, the more G-force it should build. Or as we start to go straight, the car should start to go straight. In this screen set, we can see the middle graph right here is showing GPS lateral acceleration versus steering. Where it becomes non-linear, it's not a straight line, it starts to show us oversteer or understeer. Here, we can see a bunch of oversteer, a bunch of oversteer, understeer, understeer, all sorts of things. The one that sort of stood out to me was right here. We have a whole bunch of oversteer. We can click on those points and it'll show us on the main graph where it is, and we get a video shot of it. We can double click on the segment, zoom in, and start to see what's going on. As we click and scroll through the data, we can see the video changes and the points in the XY graph start to change so we can see what's going on. And as we get to that, we start to see we're right in that zone right now where it goes from some understeer to oversteer. What's going on? Well, let's dig in. As we look to the bottom, we have a speed graph, throttle position, brakes, steering, and then I have some extra sensors on my car, being tire temps that I have here, and we have the engine speed. I'll show you why those get a little bit important. What we can see is as I enter the corner, I start to pick up the throttle. And as I pick up the throttle, I'm approaching the apex, so there's probably a little bit of opportunity to trail brake in deeper to carry that momentum. And then we get to see that towards the end, I pick up a whole bunch of throttle. And as I do that, we can watch this scatter plot and see that it starts to go to understeer. And we see here that I have that steering correction. The positive confirmation of all this, let's look at the video as it plays through. We come in, I'm unwinding the wheel, all of a sudden, counter steers, the car starts to rotate, catch it, accelerate away. So what happened? I applied too much throttle too quickly, overpowered the rear tires, caused that little bit of slide. Another way we can kind of confirm this is we can look at this tire temp. This is my right rear middle, so it's the tire it's really driving off of. And we can see as I pick up that throttle, it starts to really elevate that tire temp, and it goes from 192 all the way up to 213 as it starts to slip. And then as I start to exit down the straightaway, it comes all the way back to 173. So we can see it was really driving that rear tire hard, building those temperatures and overpowering it. The other thing we can do that's available to a lot of people is if we go in, we can start to really zoom in on our RPM trace. And what we see as we go through that is as the throttle comes in, notice it's not quite linear right here. We have this bump. You pick up the throttle and it starts to increase the RPM faster. Well, what's that indication of? That's wheel slip. That's you're starting to spin the tires and you're gonna go into that oversteer condition. I hope this little examination of some of my data helps you see where there's understeer, oversteer, and a way you can start to drill down through it to see what you're doing to cause it. It might be nothing that you're doing. It might be the car setup. And then you can start working with tire pressures, suspension settings, and all the other things to try to improve it. But using Race Studio 3 in your data is a great way to look at it and see what's going on.